Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. Schönen guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. My name is Steven Gätjen and I will be your host for today's closing keynote of the International IFA Keynote Program. Great to have you all here. I hope you're well and are ready to get started. This is a very special keynote that we have today, not only because we have one of the most important IT managers worldwide, the chairman and CEO of Google, Dr. Eric Schmidt, here as a guest on stage, but also because we will give you the chance to ask questions at the end of the keynote in a specially designed Q&A section for you. So there are a couple of things that I would like you to keep in mind. First of all, dear photographers, welcome. Great to have you here. We know that you want to take the best pictures as possible, and we do want you to get the best pictures as possible, but please keep your activity to 3 to 4 minutes once Mr. Schmidt has entered the stage. Thank you very much. Number 2, just to have a smooth, nice, fun and exciting keynote and Q&A section, please turn off your cell phones. And last but not least, in order to give you the chance to get a question to Mr. Schmidt, please raise your hand. We have ladies on each side of the stage with the microphone in their hands, and we will guide the microphones to you. Once you have the microphone, please get up, state your name and your outlet, and start shooting the question. I think that's basically all. The Q&A section will probably be limited to about 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, so please give a warm welcome to the COO of the Messe Berlin, Dr. Christian Göke. Welcome.
Thank you, Stephen. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Usually when I'm standing here in front of you trying to kick off the keynote, I'm either trying to present the speaker or the company, or I'm trying to give a short summary of what have happened so far at our show. Today, there's obviously no need at all either to introduce the speaker or the company. And on the other hand, our show is running so smoothly, we are hitting new record numbers, that there is time, very little time, for a very brief observation. Most of you, I assume, do know by now that our show started in 1924. 1924, that was only 6 years after the end of the First World War. And in 1929, after some years of Europe again blossoming and a period that was later on called the Golden Twenties, in 1929 the party abruptly stopped. Wall Street crashed. And 1 year later, in 1930, almost to the day, 80 years ago, Albert Einstein himself delivered his first keynote to our show here in Berlin, under the radio tower. And then again, only 3 years later, in 1933, Hitler's Nazi regime came into power. So what I'm going to say is, this was a very special moment in time when he delivered his first keynote here in 1930, 80 years ago. And what he said, in essence, was, technology enables communication, and communication enables democracy. And I think that this statement is more valid today than ever before. And it should really remind us that every new means of communication has a direct impact on our political system. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm reasonably sure that Albert Einstein somewhere up there is watching us, and he's looking forward as much as we are to the closing keynote of IFA 2010, given by the chairman of the board and the CEO of Google. But before we start, film up, roll on the movie, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Eric Schmidt.
Thank you. I'm over here. I'm over here. Thank you very much.
Mr. Schmidt, we are honored.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all, and thank you very much for having me back to this such a gorgeous city. And congratulations to the show for 50 plus years of great achievements. In the years that this show has been going on, there's been a lot of discussion about new ages, new eras, new ideas. And I am absolutely convinced that we're about to see a new age, an age of augmented humanity, a time when computers will work for us, and they'll make it possible for us to do the things that we really want to do, which are mostly around people and happiness and making the world a better place. And when I think about the consumer electronics industry, and in particular, what you all have built over the years, we have an opportunity now to entertain, to inform, to educate with technology that we've never been able to do before. And that's what I want to talk about in this show. Today, when you look at a consumer electronics product, think about it as a music player. If it's not connected to the internet, it just has what's stored on it. It can't get the music that's nearby. It can't get the latest music. It has to be on the net. The same is true of everything. That change is very subtle. It's something that's happened over the last 5 or 10 years in consumer electronics, but it's fundamental. So what's happening now is that people are finally getting it to the point where we can build computers and computing technology that people actually want to use in their daily lives that just works. It's taken us a very, very long time, but I'm very proud to say that the just works option finally is available. It starts from a new strategy in the industry, which I'm going to call mobile first. If you look at what's happening today in the industry, the best applications, the most powerful new uses of computers are occurring on smartphones. Now, why? You would think that they would occur on these big, big, expensive computers that are still being made. No, because the smartphones are so powerful now, and they have everything that you need to have a great information source, a great entertainment source, and of course, it's a very, very large market. So this new generation of programmers, the new generation of companies are starting mobile first, and in particular, smartphone first. It's interesting that smartphone sales will soon surpass PC sales, never to catch up again. And the mobile web, which is the web services that the mobile use is using, is growing 8 times faster than the equivalent desktop web from 10 years ago. So not only is this a larger market, but it's also growing much, much quicker. As a result, we see all of the developments that are occurring today. And this is against a backdrop of pervasive connectivity. I don't need to tell you, Europe and Germany are particularly good at this. There are very high-speed networks all throughout at least the Western world. And when you go on vacation or you go to another country you don't normally visit, you're shocked to discover that they have no data connectivity or a small amount of data connectivity. We take it for granted that these networks have always been there, but in fact they're relatively new. Only a few years, so how quickly we forget. It's interesting that the next generation of mobile technology, which is called LTE, will generate 50 megabits per second. I can remember thinking, oh, if we could just get to 1 megabit per second, I'll be happy. Well, of course, I'm never happy. And now I want 50. And when we get 50, I'll want more. What can you do with 50 megabits? Video, real-time streaming, all sorts of things that you could never imagine doing with a handheld device. All of this now possible because of the technology that people are using. It's interesting that the internet is now so pervasive that one estimate has 35 billion devices connected in one form or another, including devices in cars and all sorts of other kinds of things, many more than the kinds of devices that we're used to. It's amazing that this is all occurring. And this is giving us an opportunity to build these large platforms. And so there's a set of products, a set of platforms and a set of companies that are driving this move forward. Let me give you an example. Look at the iPhone and the iPad, new powerful applications that can access the data in the back. Google, of course, is a partner. We'll show you Android. We'll talk about Chrome OS. We'll talk about a new product called Google Television as part of this right now, which again, think of them not as devices, but rather as portals onto this very, very large set of data and supercomputers that are in the back. So it's not the smartphone by itself, and it's not the network by itself. It's the smartphone and the network, and then all of the information that is behind it. It's the sum of that that is creating all of the excitement that everybody cares so much about. Now, in that model, which is called cloud computing, it's like having a supercomputer in your pocket. This happens all the time. When we do voice translation, when we do picture identification, our computer, the smartphone, all it does is send the request to the supercomputers that then do all the work. They wait, and then the answer comes back. The smartphone itself just has to have enough power to get to the network, take the picture or what have you, and give you the answer. So it's the sum of all of that that has made such a huge, huge phenomenon. So when I go, for example, to the Cathedral, the Berliner Dom, and I say, first question is, how do I get there? Well, it'll say how long to get there to walk or bike. You have lots of bike paths here in Berlin. And when I get there, I can say, navigate to it. It'll tell me there. I can point it at the cathedral, and it will tell me all of the information about the cathedral. You know, in this particular case, yesterday, the building dates back to the 15th century. The present building was completed in 1905, reconstructed after the war, and the organ has 113 stops, whatever that is. So all of a sudden, my experience as a tourist, I found it where I wanted to go. I was told this was the most important place. I managed to walk there by myself. I looked up, and everything I needed to know was right there. And I can repeat that in all of the great cities of Europe, and in fact in all the great cities around the world, and soon we think pretty much everywhere. That's an amazing extension of my experience here in Berlin. This is a form of artificial intelligence. It's intelligence where the computer does what it does well, and it helps us think better. One way to think about it is the computer and the human together each does something better because the other is helping. We help the computer helps us. How do we help the computer? You do it all the time because you help tell the computer this is this kind of an object, or this is that kind of an object. And we use those signals. They're called classifiers. And all of a sudden we learn this is this type of thing, this is that type of thing, and the computer can then map that. Obviously, humans then benefit from all that information as you go. So in this notion of augmented humanity, of Google helping, computer companies helping, it's not a new idea. It's been around a long time. Bill Gates in 1990 in Comdex called it information at your fingertips. All the information that someone might be interested in, including information they can't get today. And we're nearly there, which is what's so profound. And literally, you can know literally everything. It's fantastic, right? And this is only going to become more pervasive. Think about it as hearing, speaking, thinking, augmenting the way you understand things. All of it literally available to you now. That's the big change because of the combination of the mobile device, the network, and these supercomputers. So what does Google do here? Why do we do this? Well, partly at the end of the day, it's paradoxical. We want to give people time back. We want them to get you to an answer quickly. We want you to be more productive so that you can get back to give us the things the things that you enjoy, which I would argue are really around people and society and culture and the things that all of us appreciate so much. So in our case, a new definition of Google would have, we're trying very hard to get you something fast. Never underestimate the importance of fast. Quick, quick, quick. We want it there. We want it now. We want to help you right now. Speed matters because your time matters. We make hundreds of improvements to search every year. You see them gradually, all over and over again. The accuracy gets better. The index gets much bigger. You'll see some of the facilities in a sec that we've done around translation and other kinds of annotation. We have one of the largest infrastructures now, which we just introduced, which is internally known as Caffeine, which basically allows the handling even greater indexes and many more information. Now, what are we going to do with search? Ultimately, search is a personal activity. So ultimately, where search goes is it searches not just the web, but literally all of your information, your email, the things that you care about. This is with your permission, I might add. This is personal search for you and only you. Because ultimately, search is about finding what you want right now. And the next step of search, of course, is doing this automatically. So when I walk down the street of Berlin, I love history. What I want is the computer, my smartphone, to be doing searches constantly. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? This occurred here. This occurred there. Because it knows who I am. It knows what I care about. And it knows roughly where I am. So this notion of autonomous search, the ability to tell me things that I didn't know, but I probably am very interested in, is the next great stage, in my view, of search. And ultimately, we think we can understand things like what you really meant. So, for example, you ask the question, what's the weather like? That's the question. And what you're really asking is, do I wear a raincoat? Right? Or do I water the plants? We think we can make that bridge or get closer to it to understand, what did you really mean? What is the problem you're really trying to solve? We've also thought a lot about new areas in commerce, specialized searches of one kind or another. We bought a company called ITA around travel. So we're very, very interested in making it possible to answer very deep questions using computer science about things that you care about. It's interesting that 1 in 3 queries from smartphones is now from about where I am, where my location is, something around me. So we know that users are doing this, and we know they're doing it a lot, and it makes sense to them. So in the area of mobile, it's interesting that our mobile search traffic grew 50% in the first half of 2010. It's growing much quicker than everything else. So not only do I believe my strategy is correct here, but also the data says that our users really, really like this. It's interesting that Android, and I hope everybody has their Android phones with them. Android is shipping about 200,000 activations per day now. And God knows what the growth rate's going to be. It's so fast. What's interesting about Android, of course, is it's not just one partner. There are more than 60 devices and 21 OEM partners across 59 carriers in 49 countries. And that number is growing very, very quickly. And you can imagine those numbers will be much, much greater before Christmas because of all the new products that are coming out. Search traffic from the Android phones tripled in the first half of 2010. Another example of all of this taking on. Another part of this is a browser strategy. Everybody here knows what browsers are, the things that you use when you are using the internet. We have a browser which we like a lot called Chrome. It's based on an underlying technology called WebKit, which is very much the fastest underlying browser technology. It's used by many of the browsers now, and that's part of why it's so quick. And in Chrome's case, it's got a huge momentum. It now has more than 70 million users. The latest release is 4 times faster, literally 4 times faster than the release we did 2 years ago. And deeper integration with the browser means that we can have more autonomous actions. Literally within the browser, we can have more things going on to benefit you because it's a more powerful platform than any other browser. And I can discuss that technically, but the important thing is it really is a much more powerful platform for this new augmented humanity model. Now, at the same time, I've not talked about monetization and ads and so forth because I wanted to talk about end users first. It's also important that the people in these ecosystems make money. So an example would be that people have information that they want to sell. They have advertising they want to show. There are many, many examples of this, and we take this very seriously, so obviously our revenue is among other things. YouTube is a very interesting example of this. YouTube, and everybody here is using YouTube. YouTube is this amazing global phenomenon now. It has more than 2 billion views per day. Think about that. 2 billion views of YouTube every day. I mean, think about the amount of time that's being spent doing this. 160 million mobile views per day, 24 hours of video uploaded every minute, right? You can imagine the quality. I'll leave that up to you. The business is doing very, very well with more than 2 billion monetized views per week. And the number of advertisers and number of monetized views is up 50% in the last year. Partners are doing well. Our display business, another component of this, we have more than 300 million visitors per day. We have more than, the DoubleClick platform, which we acquired a while ago, serves over 45 billion ads per day. And 94 of the top 100 ad age advertisers advertise on the Google Display Network. So what I wanted to do in a sort of to start was to lay a framework, a model for you of what things are like now. And what I thought would be fun would be to have some demos of products that are just about to get released and I hope will work in our demo. The person in charge of our mobile efforts, Hugo Barra, you want to come on up? Why don't you get started and let's see what Hugo has for us.
Thanks very much, Eric. Hello, everyone. My name is Hugo Barra, and I'm part of the mobile product team at Google. Well, Eric was talking to you about the supercomputer in your pocket, which, of course, is your mobile phone. And what I wanted to do is actually show you a few specific examples of what exactly we mean by mobile supercomputing. One of the most exciting and challenging technologies that we've been working at Google for many years is speech recognition. 2 years ago, we launched the first version of our voice search application, which I bet many of you here in the room use every day to search the web. It's really fast. It's really easy. And in fact, voice search has become an incredibly popular application. Just to give you an idea, out of every 4 searches that we receive from Android devices in the USA, 1 comes from voice. It's 25%, which is pretty amazing. So what I wanted to do today is actually show you how we're taking the voice UI to an entirely new level through cloud computing innovation. Let me ask you a question. Have you found yourself, say, rushing at an airport? You've got one bag in one hand, you've got a jacket, or maybe a baby on the other hand, and you need to send a quick text message, but it's just too hard. Wouldn't it be great if you could do it with just one single click? Let me show you how you're going to be sending your text messages very soon. Send text to Robert Hamilton. Let's meet outside Terminal 5 in 10 minutes. So this is going to process on the cloud for a couple of seconds, and then it's going to come back. So let's see. Perfect recognition. Just nailed it. And
by the way, Hugo, the important thing is the computer was in the back room somewhere, right?
The computer was in the back room somewhere.
The computer was somewhere, not this back room. The computer there was in the data centers. You shipped it all the way somewhere. It did all that work, all the thousands of computers, and it came back in, boom.
That's exactly right. So all I have to do here, of course, is just press send, and I'm done. What you saw is called a voice action, and there's a bunch of them in the new Android voice search application. Let me show you another one. Call Grand Hyatt Hotel in Berlin. Oh, let's try that again. Actually, it's right there. And of course, I don't have a SIM card here, so it didn't place the call, but it's incredibly fast. And this was a real live local search. The number is not stored in my address book or anything. It literally took half a second to find it and call it. Let me show you another one. So a friend of mine told me about this museum here in Berlin. He said there's all this cool Egyptian art there. So I want to drive there, but the name is very long, it's complicated, I forgot it. I can't remember what the name of the museum was. Well, maybe I could do something like this. Navigate to the museum with Egyptian stuff. And let's see what I get back here. So recognize what I said. So this is going to launch Google Navigation, which will figure out where I want to go. And in fact, it's right there. It's the Pergamon Museum. Right? So I can just click on it and get directions. Now, let's think about what happened here. So first of all, my phone is with me and it knows that I'm in Berlin, so it knows to search here. Secondly, there are thousands of pages on the web about the Pergamon Museum, which obviously talk about the Egyptian art that's in this museum. So all that Google has to do here is relate and connect all these pieces of information together and come up with a magical answer like what you just saw. This is precisely what Eric means by cloud computing innovation. Let me show one more voice action. This happens to be my favorite. Listen to Lady Gaga Just Dance. So this is going to launch your favorite music application. In my case, it's Spotify, and it's just going to play the song for you. I'll stop that. So those are voice actions. They're available today in US English, and they're coming pretty soon in many other languages. I hope you enjoy that. Let's talk about another cloud computing application. This is one of my favorite demonstrations. It's called Google Translate, which Eric also mentioned earlier. So the Google Translate app that's available today from Google Apps in the Android market allows you to type or even speak a phrase in one language and then have it immediately translated and even spoken back to you in one of 50 other languages. So that's pretty cool, and you can try it out. But what I want to do today is I actually want to show you a preview of a feature that we've been working on for a little while. It won't be out for a few months. It's called Conversation Mode in Google Translate. And for that, I'm going to invite my colleague, Kai Oberbeck, on stage to help me out. Please keep in mind, this is experimental, so it may or may not work perfectly. Nice to see you, Kai. Hold on. We're going to go to Germany in a second. So
we're in Germany.
I know, yes. So, Kai, I'm a tourist, and you're a salesman at a local shoe store here in Berlin. So we're going to start conversation mode here, and you'll notice that I have a button in English, and you have a button in German. So our conversation would probably go something like this. Do you have these shoes in size 41?
Sie haben die Schuhe in Größe 41.
Welche Farbe?
Which cable?
Try that again.
Keine. Welche Farbe?
Try it again.
Which cable?
Welche Farbe?
What color?
Black or brown would be fine.
Schwarz oder braun wäre schön.
Wir haben schwarz und braun.
We have black and brown.
Can you give me a discount if I take both?
Können Sie mir einen Rabatt, wenn ich beide nehmen?
20%?
20%.
Sold.
That's a deal. That's a deal.
Vielen Dank.
This really is history, because for 50 years, people have talked about being able to do what you just demoed. It's
here today.
fantastic.
So, Conversation Mode will be available on Google Translate in a few months. We just wanted to give you a sneak preview. I have just one more demo to show you before I go. This is actually launching this week. It's the new Street View UI, which will launch as part of an update to Google Maps for Android. And to show you the demonstration, I'd like to take a quick trip to Florence in Italy. So I'm going to click on the bookmark here in my desktop. So here we are in Florence, in Firenze. I'm going to zoom in a few times and move around. Now, to activate the Street View feature, I can click on a business, or I can just hold in place anywhere on the map, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. Let me try a slightly different place. So here we are. So I can click on this little guy here. We call him Pegman, and it'll just launch the UI for me. So what you see here is a beautiful, three-dimensional panorama on Street View, and there's a little guy here which we just launched, and if I drag Pegman around, you'll see this little circle. We call it the pancake, and the pancake actually knows the three-dimensional structure of the scene pretty well, so you can see that it understands that there are buildings and facades, and I can just drag it where I want to go, just like I do on the desktop, and it'll just take me there. Pretty cool, right? So it looks like there's something interesting here down the street, so let's keep going a little bit. Let me just try this again. Sorry about that. So let's take an even bigger leap here. So I just keep going down the street, and there's a beautiful building down there, which I would love to take a closer look. Now here, I just want to show off this again. Look how amazingly well is the understanding of the 3D scene here that we have with Street View. So I can actually get very close to that building down there. That's the Santa Croce Cathedral here in Firenze, or over in Firenze. Again, I can zoom at it more closely, so if I want to take a look at the very specific details of the facade, I can see them in high resolution. This is beautiful, almost as if I were right there. So these are the demos that I wanted to share with you. I hope you try them all and enjoy them.
Thank you, Hugo. Now, you know, what we've talked about is we've talked about the importance of mobile, and we've also talked about the importance of the connection with the supercomputer. We've not talked much about entertainment and YouTube and so forth, but we in fact do want to talk a little bit about Google Television.
Yes, of course, we've saved the best for last. So with no further ado, I'd like you to welcome my colleague from the Google TV team, Brittany Bohnet.
Thank you. So you would never want to buy a computer without an internet browser. And these days, especially after that demo, you'd probably never want to buy a mobile phone without an internet browser. Soon, you're never going to want to buy a TV without an internet browser. And I'm here today to show you a few examples of what's possible when you have an internet browser on TV. First, a few notes before I get started. I want you to understand the context here. Google TV is launching this fall in the US only. And while we're very excited to bring Google TV over to places like Europe, unfortunately, we don't have anything specific to announce at this time. So consider this a sneak preview. Now, I'm actually not demoing on any of the final hardware today. You see here a dish satellite box that I'm using to control my DVR recordings in the presentation. The box on top of it is a generic development box that we're testing the Google TV software on right now. I'm even using a random wired keyboard that I picked up at an electronics store a few days ago. It has full QWERTY keyboard functionalities, a pointing device, and some TV-specific buttons. Now, when we come to market in the US this fall, we'll be launching with 3 devices from Sony and Logitech. Sony is launching a Google TV-powered HD TV, as well as a Google TV-powered Blu-ray player. Logitech is launching a Google TV-powered box that connects to the TV you already have. Now, both of these OEMs are going to be building incredible remote controls that you can use with the TV. However, you can also use your Android phone or iPhone as a remote control as well. And yes, you may be able to do some of these incredible voice commands that Hugo just demonstrated on your TV. Can you imagine searching for a channel name and watching your TV tune to the channel? That's all going to be possible in just a few months. Now, we have the Sony Bravia over to my right just to simulate the Google TV living room experience. But for the sake of all of your eyes, we'll be projecting Google TV back on the screen behind me. So let's see if we can get it started. There we go. So, everyone clear on everything? We're going to get started with the demo. You notice here I'm watching TV as if I normally would in my living room. I can change channels. I can do all the same things I usually would. With one button, I can press this search button and bring down this box. And from here, I can type in any URL. So let's go straight to YouTube. In just a few seconds, youtube.com is going to be loading. Now you notice this transition between TV and web was completely seamless. I didn't need to change my input channel. I didn't need to use a different remote. The web just became an extension of my TV. So I'm here on YouTube, and I can do any of the same things I could do on my computer. So let's search for something to watch. This Salt's video trailer came out just a couple months ago. Let's see if we can find that here. Again, just like on my computer, now I can see it, and I can go click on the link and watch the video. Now, one of the great things about YouTube is that as camera technology has improved, more and more people are uploading high-resolution video. This means that it makes a great experience when you navigate into full screen. So let's try that now. So the video is rendering, and we're actually going to be using hardware acceleration in the Google TV devices to make this rendering happen very, very fast. Let's see if this actually is rendering. All right. Well, let me show you another example of YouTube. Oh, this is what happened. The play button was not started. Minor detail when you're watching a video. There we go. Now we can hop into full screen, and it'll show me what's happening at a 720 pixel. Look how great that looks on your TV screen. This is YouTube. It's pretty amazing. All right, we're going to go pause this again. Now, YouTube has actually launched a new product called YouTube Leanback that's actually defaulted for the Google or for the big screen experience. Not specifically for Google TV, but for any large screen that you're viewing YouTube on. Now, YouTube Leanback automatically defaults video into full screen. It also has very intuitive controls so that you can search, pause, play, rewind all the videos one by one. So you see here, I can just navigate right, play any video I want to. I can even browse down and search by category. And again, the controls are large and very intuitive. So with Google TV, all of this can become a reality in your television. But this is not just about video, and it's not just about YouTube. From here, I can go anywhere on the web. What about Farmville? Now, did you know that, last I checked, 10% of Americans are playing Farmville every single day? I don't know what the statistic is for Germans, but that boggles my mind. Okay, so online games are pretty fun. What about music? Now, there's so many online music streaming sites these days. What if you could play music from your TV? Your TV is often connected to the best speakers in your house. So why shouldn't your music be coming out of those speakers? What about photos? A lot of people these days are uploading their photos to places like Picasa, Flickr, Facebook. And a lot of these sites actually have a very interesting feature called Slideshow Mode. Now again, what's more compelling? A 10-inch digital photo viewer sitting on your coffee table, or a 50-inch TV sitting in your living room? It's the best and brightest screen in your house. This is the screen that you should be displaying all of your photos on. And now you can. Okay, so you've essentially gone from hundreds of channels in your TV lineup to millions of channels just with the implementation of a browser. How do you search all of this content? Well, we thought of that too. So I'm going to bring down the search box again. And from here, I can type in the name of a channel. And I can see that right now, this is the show that's playing. With one click, I tune there, and I'm done. People don't have as much time as they used to. We want to get them there quicker. But the search box is interesting, not just for channel searches, but we can search for anything. Let me search for Star Trek. You'll see here that we're integrating TV search as well as pages from the web.
But about you.
I can even search TV and video content. And this takes me to a page where I can access all the content about Star Trek that I ever want to watch. I can browse movies, I can go to specific shows, specific episodes, and even clips from the web. Now it doesn't matter what's on right now. What matters is, what do I want to watch? Google TV lets me watch it. And some of this is free and some of this is paid.
Oh, it's a mayor.
We're doing integrations with different video on demand providers to allow users to pay for things instantly and watch them immediately on their TV. So now you have all your TV, you have all of the web, and you have a way to search it all. It gets even better. I'm going to go to my home screen really quickly and navigate to one of my recordings for Top Gear. Now, this specific episode of Top Gear is all about the Ferrari. And let's just say for a minute that I was so captivated by this show that I wanted to buy a Ferrari. Check this out. With one button, I can collapse the screen into a smaller screen size, and I do a search for buy a Ferrari. Granted, this is just a demo. I'm not really going to buy one today. Now, I can go online and do that just now. Now, you can imagine all of the use cases where this can be very compelling. I'm watching a breaking news story, and I want to go see what people are saying on Twitter or Facebook. Or I'm watching a game show like Jeopardy, and I want to go cheat and get the answer before the people on TV do. There are all different kinds of scenarios you can come up with here. The thing to note there is that's such a simple enhancement to TV, yet it makes it so much more interactive. So all of your TV, all of the internet, and a way to find everything you want to watch, as well as a way to integrate the TV and internet together. One last thing I'm happy to announce. Soon, we'll be bringing tens of thousands of the same applications you can get on your mobile phone to your TV. We're going to be launching support for Android Market in early 2011. TV, the full web, tens of thousands of applications. Google TV gives you access to more entertainment than any other living room device you've ever experienced. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. So, that was phenomenal. I think you've seen two really historic things today. The first, of course, with Google Television, you saw, and it happened so fast, you got used to it. You saw an active browser with a picture-in-picture window of the screen show that you had previously selected in your web search. You also saw in the selection and search that you had 5 television shows, 230 YouTube videos, and 5,000 other sites that you could visit over Star Trek. All of a sudden, we can combine the two together. The other thing that's happening is because this is a Chrome-based solution, talking about browsers, you can actually program this. And it'll be possible over time to actually write programs and program your television to do exactly what you've always wanted to do rather than just yelling at it, which is what most people do. So, and in Hugo's presentation, you saw the ultimate extension of what we can do technologically by having people who, at least in theory, can't speak the same language, literally being able, with a little bit of help, to communicate and do an economic transaction on the shoe department. The important thing here is that these are things that were the stuff of science fiction a few years ago, and now they are very, very real. So what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the political context of all of this, and then talk a little bit about the future, and then take your questions or comments. And thank you both again. The internet is creating a great internet disruption. And that disruption is changing so many things. It's affecting so many of us in so many different ways. There are many quotes on this. Joseph Schumpeter called it the perennial gale of creative destruction. That over and over again, some assumption that we had is no longer true, and a new assumption takes forth. And the internet has replaced the economics of scarcity, how difficult it is to get to things, with the economics of ubiquity. You have to be everywhere. You have to be all over everywhere all the time. And any business that's built on controlling or restricting the flow of information is having difficulty. Whereas businesses that are about popularizing information, getting it as broadly as possible, tend to benefit in this new world. And you see this from our technology. And all of these disruptions are both terrifying and exciting, especially obviously for the incumbents that are affected by this very seriously. It's exciting because of scale. We can bring, and other companies can bring out products that can touch 1 billion people fairly quickly. And these markets are large. They're very, very large. They touch a lot of people. They touch humanity in the way it really is, as opposed to the way we think of it is. But it's terrifying because it's all about information, and ultimately information is people care a lot about. So we Google end up in the middle of most of these debates, whether it's privacy or street view and numerous other issues which people here in the audience know about. And from my perspective, I think the debate is healthy. These are new ideas. These are new issues. Society hasn't really decided what to do about some of these things. Having the sharing and the opinions of everybody really does help at least us inform how we make the decisions of how we go forward with these new products. And we encounter this scrutiny, and we're prepared to participate in it, and of course we accept it very much. This disruption, this benefit is going to continue. It's going to continue from companies like Google and others as well. And the future gets very interesting very quickly. This golden era, I talk about the golden era or the age of augmented humanity. You can imagine a golden era of breakthroughs that computer science is now driving knowledge in human discipline in all sorts of new ways, that we can really solve as scientists big problems, global warming, terrorism, financial transparency, because these are fundamentally information problems. So imagine a future, and this is a very near future, that goes something like this. You don't forget anything. Why? Because the computer remembers. You don't have to remember anymore. The computer remembers. It remembers the things that you should have remembered, but you don't remember anymore because you have too much else going on in your life. Computers in many ways will become good at what we're not good at, making lists, remembering things, keeping memories and track of all the things going on in our lives. Humans are just not very good at that. Computers excel at this sort of thing. You're never lost, right? It's funny how, if you're always buying maps and worrying about things, now you're never lost, right? Your smartphone certainly knows where you are. You know your position down, so do your friends, right? This can be used in all sorts of very powerful ways. Your car, right? Your car should be able to drive itself. After all, the car knows where it is, knows where the other cars are, knows where you're going, right? You can monitor it in case it has a bug in it, right? But aside from that, the car should take you where you want to go. This explosion of real-time telemetry, which is a fantastic explosion in information measured in what are called terabytes and petabytes of information, is the defining computer science data challenge. And what's interesting about products like Google Maps, you saw some of this in our demo, and Google Earth, is that people who love the Earth, and I hope it's all of us, can love it even more. We can know even more about what's going on in our planet, by the way, our only planet that we care so deeply about and want to make sure it's in good shape. You really do have all the world's information at your fingertips in any language. There are more than 160 million uses of Translate every day. That number is, again, growing very, very quickly. People actually don't all speak English. It's always a shock to Americans. And Germans understand this very well. It's amazing how much information there is in languages that you don't speak. It's true for all of us, and especially for English speakers. We will know, and we can help you figure out what to pay attention to right now. The explosion in user content, the explosion in real-time data, what am I thinking, what am I doing, social networks and so forth. We can help you sort that out. We can help you figure out what is most relevant to you right now. Now, it's interesting. You're never lonely because your friends are always nearby. We always know where they are. They're always near you. They're always connected to you, at least in cyberspace. Your friends make Google and the web more powerful. They augment it. They make it special. And you're never bored, right? Instead of wasting time watching television, you can waste time watching the internet, right? And we have a lot more choices for you to waste your time with. So not only are you never lonely, you're never bored. And occasionally you might learn something in the process of being entertained. So whether it's games or movies or videos, and in the Leanback experience, we actually suggest what you should be watching because we know what you care about. So you don't need to worry so much about what are the choices. We figure it out for you. We're never out of ideas. We can suggest what you should do next, what you care about, all the things in front of you. Imagine the world's calendar, knowing everything, all the events, and we know where you are, we know what things that you like, and all of a sudden we can suggest, well, there's an amazing play over here, or there's a great concert around the corner that you didn't know about and that your friends care a lot about. And what I like the most about this vision is it's a future for everyone. It's not a future just for the elites. Historically, information services and information empowered have been for the rich people, the knowledge workers, and so forth. This is technology which is accessible to every single person on the planet, or at least all the people who can afford or are working very hard to get smartphones to, which is today on the order of 1 billion people, and in my view, over the next 5 to 10 years, will approach 3 to 4 billion people with powerful networks that will back them up. That is a humongous change. It is a tremendous change in access to information for people who have struggled to get through the day and worrying about all the things that we all care about. So for me, this is a future that is committed to doing good. It's a future that we care a lot about at Google. It's a future that gives people time to do what they really care about: thought, ideas, intuition, solutions, and doing what they love, which I think is mostly about people and about society and about the fun that they all have. It's interesting that this is a future that is the stuff of poetry. There's a quote that I like. Google is made of us, a sort of coral reef of human minds and their products, from William Gibson last week. I tell you now that the future, this future that I've talked about, that you've seen, is really available to all of us right now. I'm proud to be part of it, and thank you so much for coming and participating in this talk. Thank you so much. So I think we have, Kai, we have some time for some questions. If people have comments or questions, we have some hands up here. And I think we have some microphones. You want to just sort of do them?
Fabian from Android Pit.
Yes, hello.
I was wondering when I saw your Google TV presentation as well as your presentation for the Android phones, if Google becomes a content provider more than like right now someone where everything gets into Google and someone else can retrieve it. This is more because I think, from my perspective, TV is a very passive medium where I sit in front of it and then I get information, but I don't want to probably check information out. I just want to be passive, in my personal opinion. Is Google becoming a content provider?
We've decided to stay right on, there's a line that we've decided not to cross. So we want to work with content providers and get them onto this new platform, whether it be Google Television or YouTube or the web. We're very unlikely to go into the actual content production, at least in a significant way, because we want the content providers to be able to make money. I would tell you, by the way, as a passive television viewer, once you have Google Television, you're not going to be passive. You're going to be very, very busy. It's going to ruin your evening. That's our strategy. Some more questions. Yes.
Mark Desani, IFA International.
Hi there.
You mentioned all of the benefits of the new technology, and I'm sure when you're doing your research as well, you're considering the downsides with all of the information that you're collecting and possessing. So what are the dangers according to you? And do you think there's a real danger also in creating an elite by restricting access to the internet as well?
Well, for the latter part, we've worked, all of us at Google, I personally, many people that I've worked with have worked very hard to make the internet available to everyone. And because of the tremendous success of mobile phone data, and in particular GPRS, Edge, UMTS, and now LTE technology, it's reasonable to expect that over the next 5 to 10 years, 5 out of the 6 billion or so humans will have access to some level of mobile connectivity, and some number of billions, certainly more than one, because we're nearly there now, will have access to powerful smartphones and the kind of web computing. That is a life-changing experience for them, so I'm very, very excited about it. I think that the downsides are all obvious. It's always a shock to people to discover that criminals use the telephone, and yet we still use the phone. We haven't banned the telephone. And I think the fact of the matter is that there are evil people in the world. They will use this technology. It's important that we be alert. It's important that we recognize that the laws are there for the reason that we all follow them. But we have no illusion about how this technology could be misused as well. And I think that governments around the world, the police force and so forth, need to focus on this because it'll be a new source, among other things, of some bad behavior as well as hopefully an enormous amount of good behavior.
Eleni Klotzikas, working for German radio stations. Will Google phones also be able to identify people in the future? You gave us the great example with this cathedral. How about I point my Google phone on, just say, a person, and I want his email address or like his hobbies, or can Google help me with that?
The answer is no. And I hope that's, and I'm sorry if you wanted that feature, it's no. There are a number of reasons why it's no. One is it's illegal because you can't use, in the European law, you can't use that kind of information, which I think is a good law. So the second thing is that it would be a significant invasion of people's privacy. So if people want to give you that information, it's easy for them to transmit it, but you won't be able to randomly find things out about people without their permission.
And in the US?
Same answer. We're not going to do it in the US. It's just it's too creepy.
Okay, Dr. Schmidt?
Sorry, where are we?
It's me.
Oh, there you go, sorry.
Okay, my name is Dr. Siegert, and actually I just pick up the example of the Cathedral. Actually, you know, you spoke about the organ of the Cathedral. My mother was one of those who had the chance to play this organ.
Ah, good.
And I would like to say, when you come back to Berlin, we will offer you a concert.
Ah, thank you.
And I say that because I want to discuss a topic which you haven't discussed with us today, but I heard in the grapevine that there's something behind the curtain which may be of interest for us. But it's up to you to speak about. It's about generating and retrieving and working our proper memory. As you know, all this digital age we are approaching, we speak about the future. But I think maybe some of the most important challenges is not just hosting data, but is not just giving us the data of our actual life, but actually hosting parts of our past. And I know that there are some projects in the way in the background of your big, big, big empire, which are working on that. Maybe it's too early to speak about that, but maybe you can give us at least some ideas about these things which are less on the future, which have to do with our past. And once we are done, we give you the concert.
Thank you. Well, first, thank you for such a kind offer. We're very interested in getting historical information into Google. Usually that historical information is owned by somebody, a library or a cathedral or a church or what have you. And so we have organizations that go and talk to them and try to get that information to be published. We want to be very respectful of copyright. We don't want to do it without their permission. But most people, when we talk to them, are very interested in getting their information out because it helps popularize what they're doing. The more information we have, the more signals, the more information that we can have, that we can link things together. I don't think there's anything particularly special about music or sheet music or any of those things. We have a number of projects around going on a pro bono basis, trying to do digital images of the original vellum of recordings from hundreds of years ago. But our real objective is just to get all the information digitized. Once it's digitized, then it's available for the next 1,000 years in whatever formats will occur. We've done this very successfully with historic books, and we've done that with a set of partnerships here in Europe as well. Some more questions?
Joe Morgan from IFA International. What would you define as the main business stroke strategic benefits to Google of Android, this free operating system which is used across different tablet, smartphone devices? What would you define as the key business benefits to Google of this? And the second question is, could this possibly lead to commercial conflict with other organizations which you haven't had in the past?
Well, I'm sure that there will be commercial conflict with other people and that we've not competed in the past because this is so new, and we accept that. Google takes an unusual view of these business questions. We try to solve the problem from the end user perspective, and then we try to figure out a way to make money later. So in Android's case, we think it's just interesting technology. It enables a whole generation of new applications. We demoed some of them. These are things which we would never even conceived of a few years ago. And more importantly, there are many, many people who do not work at Google who are building very powerful applications on top of the Android platform. So from our perspective, the end user benefit is obvious. If there are many, many, many millions of users of Android, I am sure that Google can figure out some ways to make money from that. But it will not be from charging for Android. It will be in ancillary things. I'll give you an example. People who use Android search more. Well, as they search more with a powerful browser, they click on more ads. So we estimated that Android already pays for itself. So we're very happy with Android. You could imagine there are many other things that we could do if we really cared about growing that business. For us, Android is precisely strategic because it allows us to create the complete system that we just showed you. The smartphone to the network to the supercomputer, and strategic because with that system, you could do these amazing things that we saw in our demos. And by the way, Android is part of the Google television platform as well.
I've got to say I appreciate your beauty right next to him. Your vision of a bright future. I would think that we would all like to share that. There are some very large players your vision has to navigate around, players you don't and can't control, whether it be autocratic governments. I know Google has had some issues in China recently. There's issues regarding network availability, whether or not the 3G network or the mobile network can handle this new traffic, data farms, et cetera, et cetera. What are some of these issues that you can't control, you are concerned about, that we should be looking towards?
Well, it's worth saying right now that Google is not a country. We are not a sovereign government, and we are subject to the laws of the countries that we operate in. And I want to make that very explicit because people get sort of confused about all of this. We have to follow the European laws in Europe. We had to follow the Chinese laws. We decided in China we did not like the way in which their censorship was working, so we moved to the other China, which was Hong Kong. So we'll see what happens. So we make that decision on a per-country basis. My own view is that these changes are happening so quickly that societies are not really prepared for what's going to happen when everybody is online, everybody is posting information about what's going on around them. I also think that in general this is very good because it empowers citizens, and citizens are fundamentally good. Citizens fundamentally want to make their countries a better place, and so I would say it in a positive context. But I think the countries are a classic example where the laws conflict. There are obviously also corporations that have different models from us that we also compete with. Let's see, there's some questions over there as well. Don't forget them. Yes, sir.
Kai Petzke from Teletext Online Magazine in Germany. I have two questions, one very specific one. Google Translate, is it something you might be also doing in a phone call over the air? And the second more general question about Chrome OS, which in my opinion is something like the big Android, for example, very suitable for tablets. Is that coming soon, or how can you give us a short update there?
So two separate questions. The live translate is the next logical succession to the demo that you saw, and you could imagine eventually it might be possible. Right now we can do it the way you saw it, so we're pretty close. And I think eventually it will be possible to speak. Today you can SMS somebody and without speaking the language, and I think it's reasonable to expect that with some level of accuracy you'll be able to do it live over time. Again, as the technology gets better, and remember these algorithms are trained algorithms. As they get more data, they get better. It's a classic example where the computer does something better because the humans help it, and the humans do something better because the computer is there, they can actually communicate with each other. On the question about Chrome OS has been announced. Chrome OS is an operating system which is in early availability, and it's targeted primarily at the netbook space today. Of course, because it's free, it's open source, people will also use it for tablets. But I think it's too early to say exactly how it will be played out. We're looking forward to the partnership announcements later this year. Thank you.
Florian Samuel Berger, TWN. What's about the responsibility from Google? You ask where can I find the Gibson things and stuff. Then you got the answer at the Pergamon Museum. I assume most of the people will believe that now, but that answer is wrong. Your time is in Berlin, I assume, very limited. So if you want to see the Egyptian stuff, you get that information. Now you're ending up in the wrong museum. Thanks.
Okay, so what was the right museum?
It's the so-called Old Museum and other museum. It's very close to it. But the Pergamon Museum is, as far as I know, not known or famous for Egyptian stuff. It's famous for something, other things. Thanks.
Okay, well, I will defer to the unique knowledge that this audience has to debate that point. Thank you. More questions.
This is Kelvin from Shenzhen State Microtechnology in China. First question is about applications to Hugo. Just now you were playing the Lady Gaga Just Dance, and you were allowed to stop it by finger click, right? You can't stop it by yelling at it? Can't stop it by yelling at it.
Can you yell at, if you yell at the Lady Gaga video, will it stop? Or will she yell back? Do you have a personal relationship, Hugo, with Lady Gaga?
Right, no. The question actually is about is your Android platform the ear of your supercomputer, or the voice control can control the mobile phone itself?
Hugo, do you want to go ahead and answer?
So we've chosen the things that sort of solved the most complexity, right? Being able to send an SMS with one click, being able to navigate somewhere with one click. There's one that I didn't demonstrate, which I use like 10 times a day, which is to say, note to self, and then buy milk on the way home, or whatever reminder you want to send yourself. I'm sure many of you geeks here send yourself emails all the time trying to remind. So we're trying to solve the biggest problems before we try to voice enable everything. The next step, by the way, is to actually open the voice actions platform with a public API so that third-party developers can then start adding different actions to do anything, right? So Spotify, for example, could say, well, it's great that a user can launch Spotify and play a song or a playlist, but what about controlling the playback? What about being able to say pause and other things like that? So we're going to open up the voice actions API for that stuff. And a lot of these things actually are doable today because there's an open API on Android itself for speech. So hopefully that answers your question.
Looking forward to that. Now, the second question is to Eric. Google TV is one of the best product from Google, right? Okay. What's your strategy to get Google TV into China market? Because I'm a Chinese, right?
Well, our current strategy is to try to get it, because of the partnerships you saw, it has to be integrated with content providers. We're trying to get it launched in the next couple of months in the United States, and then we'll do a worldwide launch later, or basically in 2011. And I won't go through the details on a per country basis, but it's pretty obvious what we need to do. We need to talk to the broadcasters, make sure we have the content, get the things certified. Televisions are in fact offered by the local manufacturers. They have to actually install the software in their televisions. Go ahead.
Dr. Schmidt, I'm really sorry, but I've Googled your schedule and you only have time for one more question. And please try and keep it to one question. So any more? I think, yeah, the gentleman all the way in the back. If you could stand up and just announce yourself. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lupo Pape from Semantic Edge. My question is, what's your view about apps? Everybody is talking in apps. Apple has taken this phenomenon to the last stage. Will we talk about apps in 2 or 3 years' time, or will it be a mashup of use cases rather than apps?
First, I think the iPad apps have really shown a very good model. It's a closed model, very tied to the Apple platform. I say this as a proud former Apple board member. We've taken an approach that apps will be web resident, so the apps will be running inside of browsers, and they'll be just as powerful. We also have a marketplace in Android that has many tens of thousands of apps and growing very quickly. So I think the good news is that there will be many, many apps. There'll be more than one style of app, and the platforms that I'm talking about will all have very powerful applications over the next few years. Thank you so much for spending so much time. We ran over, and I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks again.